It's so funny how we get so used to doing it on our phone, and it's like a different experience back on
It
the computer.
totally is. Totally is. All right. Well, I am super excited and honored to have Chris Jackson here on the Move Happy Movement podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
So delighted to be here, Erin. Thanks so much. It's my honor for sure.
Absolutely. So those that don't know who you are, you and I met through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We just had a power conversation, I would say, where I just felt so much positive energy from you. You're authentically a giver. And I just had to have you on the show because you're all what Move Happy is about. So
well, thank you so much. And I was kind of kicking off my own health kick at that time, and there's always a reason for everything, right? And when we met and kind of had this connection, and I heard how Move Happy got started and how you got started and all the many plans that you had for the podcast and for the big event coming up and all that kind of stuff. And then we jumped on a call. I think I was on my way to the beach, right? And we just hit it off, and I felt like we'd been friends for a long time, and like I really wanted to be in your corner and cheer you on and be a part of the things that you're doing. So when you asked me to be on the podcast, I'm like, heck yeah, that'd be amazing. So
it's about time we had you on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I didn't even launch it at that point when we had that first conversation.
No, it was in the plans, and that's one of the things I really admire about you is. A lot of people, and even myself now and then, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And then, life happens. I've been married 20 years. I've got 3 kids. And all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I did want to do that. But that was like 3 years ago, and you let it go. And, you just keep executing on the things you want to do and keep building your brand and building your movement. And I really admire that and appreciate that about you a lot.
Thank you. And likewise, for those that haven't had those amazing conversations like you and I have had, why don't you share a little bit about your background, what you do, what you're excited about, and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So I officially became a full-fledged entrepreneur 3 years ago, acquired my first company. The company's been in business since 1983. But for almost 19 years now, coming up February 1st, actually, I've been in the financial services industry and specifically doing investment management, financial advising, financial planning for all sorts of different clients, mostly individuals and families. And when we take on a client, we work with everyone in the family, the husband, the wife, the kids, the grandkids, whatever. Even we get referrals to sisters and brothers and cousins and former coworkers and different stuff like that. So we really take a relational approach. Surprise, surprise, right? And we look to build long-term relationships with clients. And so when I found this gentleman, Tom Tucker, who had started Tucker Financial, he had been in the business since 1983, but his average client had been with him 19 years.
Wow.
So that's unheard of in our industry. And it lined up so well with mine. I hadn't been in the business quite as long, but at 15 years, which is where I was when we started the discussion, my average client had been with me over 12 years, and the industry average is about 7. And so, so that lined up, and character and integrity, we're both men of faith. His real emphasis on long-term relationships, clients taking the long-term view towards their financial freedom, doing things the right way, doing what's best for your client. All those things lined up so well. And so the culture lined up well. And, some people don't think about, well, why is this client here? Why have they stayed an average of 19 years? They must like what they're doing. And so one of the best things I did when I went in and acquired the company is I didn't make a bunch of changes all at once. I took time to bring on my clients and get them to know the company, but didn't go making a bunch of changes because, you're going to alienate the very people that you want to stay. And so we took our time and really got to know what are the things they like, and let's keep those things. And what are the things we can improve on, and let's improve on those things. And so just celebrating my 3-year anniversary, we've just now started to make a few changes, recently changing the name to True North from Tucker, so that it's a long-term entity, not tied to one specific person, but to the entire purpose of why we do what we do, which is to come along people and guide them to achieving their mission, finding their true north, and then steadily making progress toward that together with them, using those relationships and our skills and experience as well.
Love that. Vision focused and really customer and person focused and family focused. I love that.
As well as the team. As we've grown the team, we've grown over 75% in the last 3 years, and the firm was growing 0% when I bought it. So we've put a lot of work in
Yeah.
to really reinvigorate. And we kind of took a startup and, attached it to the side of this longer term company that had sort of matured and wasn't really growing. And it's been interesting to kind of manage both sides of that and integrate that and hire the right people that'll take care of the client who's looking for sort of that long-term relationship, but also someone who can reach out to younger people who are just getting started in their career. And we're one of the few companies that will really take on those younger clients that may or may not be profitable for years, but they become your long-term good clients over time. We don't want to say no to them now. And 10 years later, when they have more money, they want to say no to us at that point because we weren't there for them. So we're really focusing on bringing on those younger professionals, kids and grandkids of clients and those kind of things. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun, but it's very exciting to see all the different families and the different places that we're helping. And we now have clients in 14 different states. So we've spread out geographically a little bit as well. So it's been a fun ride, but the whole 19 years in the industry, I started during a major economic downturn. A few years later, we went into the '08 downturn, and it's been a wild ride, but the ability to really care for our clients, I think, is the hallmark of who we are and who I am in the business world.
Absolutely. And that speaks for who you are as well. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So one of the pillars of Move Happy is about keeping a positive mindset. And you kind of touched on it with the downturn of the economy in '08 and things like that. What are some things that you've learned along the journey in your industry that you'd like to share with maybe people that are interested in getting into that industry or that already work in the financial sector?
Yeah, sure. I think what a lot of people know is that when the economy and the markets go through a downturn, it's hard on the investor, right? It's hard on the client. They start to worry. I've actually found, the stock market's doing really well right now. People's investments are doing well as long as they have a good advisor and they're invested. But they worry it's going to end, right? So they worry when things are good, and they also worry when things are bad. And so I like to joke that there's always a reason to worry, right? And that's where we come alongside and we remind them over and over, hey, we didn't ever intend on getting there overnight. We didn't ever talk about it being a smooth ride. In fact, we educate them up front. Really, it's a lot of mindset management, expectation management. We sometimes say we do a lot more psychology than we do just about anything else because we're preparing them for the inevitable bumps along the way. And so that helps us a lot. And then the other thing is people forget that in this industry, the people that do the work can also be affected by that stress. You go from when times are good, people are worried a little bit, to times are bad, and you're getting all these phone calls. What do we do? What do we do? And there's a lot of responsibility there. There's a lot of negativity coming at you from the news. You're invested too, so you're losing your own money. So having that mindset that remembers, hey, this is expected. This is what we signed up for, and that we need to stay focused on the long term for ourselves and for our clients is sort of that constant mantra. You almost have to brainwash yourself to not give in and not let any of that negativity in. I had one colleague, he was a great investment manager back in the day. The 2008 downturn, it scared him to the point that he left the industry and could never get back into it, even as things started to recover, because he couldn't kind of get back on track with being confident, being positive. And who wants to work with someone who's saying, oh, things are probably going to keep going badly?
Right.
It really seeped into his psyche to the point that he had to go do something totally different. So we have to train ourselves, and then we have to train our clients to really have that long-term mindset, that positive mindset, and kind of marry those long-term goals and set those expectations up front. So it's something I have to work on for myself, my team, and my clients. And so sometimes I'm just the big Ophi cheerleader trying to keep everybody's eyes on the long term and out on the horizon rather than worrying about the choppy waves, around our feet kind of thing.
Love that. Love that. You mentioned mantras. Do you have any, or does your team have any mantras that you like to recite or think on?
We don't have any that we've incorporated into the company yet. I've thought about, kind of those things. The two phrases we use a lot are helping clients achieve their mission. Helping is what we do. Who do we help? Our clients. Whose mission is it? It's theirs. And it's not about us making money. It's about helping them. So that, and then keeping the best interest of each client first, period. So those are the two closest to a mantra. But personally, I had a mentor when I first got into the financial services industry. He's a client today, continues to be a tremendous role model and friend. In fact, he gave me his Mont Blanc pen that he used when he was CEO of the first bank.
Mm-hmm.
He just recently over Christmas gave that to me as a gift, as sort of I want to pass this mantle on to you. And gosh, it touched my heart. And he was the first one in business to show me, hey, if you create a family atmosphere, clients benefit, the community benefits, and your team benefits. But his mantra has always been, stay positive. Good things happen when we stay positive. And so I sort of live that out. We really haven't turned it into a mantra, but I try to set that example every single day, every single interaction. And then also show the same care for my team as I do for each client. Sit down with them, get to know them, ask about their families, and really care about them holistically, not just what do they bring to the bottom line. And they keep telling me it's not like that everywhere else, Chris, which I know from experience, but they appreciate that
definitely
environment that we create for sure.
Love that. Yeah. And I definitely felt that too on our first conversation. So you're reminding me of that.
Yeah, exactly. So I get a little wound up sometimes.
I love it. I love it. Second pillar of Move Happy, really you touched on it a lot in what you shared already, is about building community. And, to help with our happiness, really, we need to be surrounded with other like-minded, happy, positive people.
Definitely.
What tips have you learned along the way? I know you mentioned a couple mentors. Are there trainings that you've gone to, or like what have you learned to build community within a financial sector,
Yeah, I'll give it. It's typically a very competitive, almost a dog eat dog. Two of the recent people we added to our team were from an institution I used to work for. And the one was in sales. And she said, they purposely pitch you against your own coworkers, and they have these competitions about who can bring in more business. There's no mention about what's best for the client. There's no mention that sometimes the best thing to do is to tell a client, hey, that's not what's in your best interest. Let's not go down that path. There's no concern for that. It's all about making those goals and beating out your competitors and all those kind of things. And your competitors are your own teammates. And what kind of a culture does that create, right?
Exactly.
So when I hire, I really look for someone who I know has a genuine heart of character, who has a demonstrated track record of putting clients ahead of themselves, and genuine care and concern. And so I can train them, I can teach them almost any tasks they need to do, but I'm looking for a type of person who's going to fit into our culture. Imagine we throw someone in there, and we're a relatively small company still. You throw someone into that mix who's out to get their coworkers, or out to tattle every time they do something wrong or make a mistake, or they want to point out what everybody else is doing wrong, or, really lift themselves up. One person can spoil the whole thing. And I use the analogy, we want to have this wonderful, healthy garden of productive, beautiful flowers and plants. And there's times that you can't tell right away if it's a weed or a flower that's pushing through the soil. But once you know it's a weed, you either have to move that weed out, or the good flowers are going to pick up their roots and they're going to go somewhere else, right? And so part of the job is training, developing, nurturing, fertilizing, if you will, all those things. But once you know a weed is a weed, you've got to move on from that. And we actually do that with our clients as well. If we've got, I had to fire a client last year who was getting really pushy with people on my team. And I've got to be an advocate for my team. Everywhere else I've been before, when a client was upset about something, it's the person that got in trouble. It might just be a negative, nasty client, right? Or someone who's being a bully, or someone who's pushing somebody around. And so I look at it that it's my responsibility to figure out what's going on, what's the best decision. And if it's a client that needs to be moved, then that weed needs to be removed as well. And it's all about keeping that positive attitude. As far as trainings I've done, the biggest one I go back to is fairly early in my career. I was going through a little bit of one of those, like, gosh, is this the place I want to be? Is this the role I want to have? Just was harried and run, and we were growing like crazy. Everywhere I've gone, things have grown exponentially. And so I get, stretched and burn out almost. And there was this training coming up, and it was called Dealing with Difficult People. And I'm like, oh, sign me up. I need some dealing with difficult people, right? And so I go to this thing, and a couple of my teammates were there, and I'm rushing around going to this thing, and I get in and I sit down, and the instructor does this amazing thing to kind of talks through you're probably here because you're worn out. You're probably here because you're dealing with other people's messes and fixing their problems all the time. He says, but what I want to spend the first half of the day on is dealing with the most difficult person that you have to deal with. And I'm picturing a couple people in mind. And he said, and this person is someone that you always have to deal with, and you deal with them around the clock. And the most difficult person you ever have to deal with is yourself.
Is yourself.
So we spent I literally got chills and tears in my eyes because I realized I was allowing that external rush to make me think differently about people on my own team and my own clients. And it's because I wasn't managing myself well. And so he spent the whole first half of the day. How do you train yourself? How do you manage yourself? How do you prepare yourself so that you bring your best into that situation, into that relationship, and really turn the tide, even if it is a difficult one? And I carried that with me. That was probably 15, 16 years ago. And I still remember that day that it just hit me like, hey, I can't control what other people do. I can't even completely manage what other people do, but I need to be in charge of me and take responsibility for me. And that changes every other interaction, right? It's the only one you can focus on that changes everything. So that's a couple little examples.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. That reminds me of Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Much.
It's a great one.
You really
Probably
do
the other big one too is just one more. My view of mistakes is very different, particularly towards other people. And I always tell my team, hey, we're going to make mistakes, right? I expect you to make mistakes. The only thing I ask is you let me know right away what they are so we can fix them together.
Yeah,
we're not going to make a big deal of them. Obviously, if it's a repetitive thing, we're going to retrain and work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'm still working on, Erin, and again, I'm 45 years old and I've been in the industry, 19 years, is cutting myself some slack when I make a mistake, or when I don't bring my best forward. Because sometimes I can get inside my own head and be beating myself up at the next, meeting, the next client interaction or whatever, instead of being like that good, NFL football kicker. Hey, I missed the last kick, but that kick's over. I'm going to,
I got to move forward.
Yeah. And so I really kind of approach that. And it's funny when a new employee makes their first mistake, you can tell they're a little hesitant to bring it to me. But after they see, oh no, he really meant that. It's not going to be a big deal. There's not going to be finger pointing. We're just going to fix this together and learn from it and move on. And really training myself to do the same for myself and give myself that space, because we're not going to always get it right the first time or any time, right? But the ability to keep getting up and keep kicking is really, really important.
And then I think that's, a great leadership skill too, because people are going to follow you if they feel they can trust you. And if you're not so worried about them being perfect around you.
Yeah. And that you have their back and want what's best for them to do. So,
absolutely. Awesome. I love it. Love it. Great tips on building community. Thank you for that. Of course, the third pillar is movement related for Move Happy. It started in a psych hospital. I think we had spoke a little while ago about it. Very, very low budget. We had $100 to split between 15 staff and each month. And so I was like, okay, well, let's not add to that budget with cost factors and whatnot. And so we did a lot of minimal equipment activities just to get them up and moving and whatnot. So with that in mind, kind of a low budget mindset for fitness, what are some of your most enjoyable things that you like to do to move your body that don't cost a lot?
Yeah, so I've incorporated into my morning routine some micro exercise, which is a fairly basic thing. But I start my day, and for a little while I got away from this. When I got into LinkedIn, which I've met so many great people through LinkedIn, you want to kind of check in right away. And I've had to just recently remind myself, no, leave the screens off, get your routine in, get your day started the right way. And then you can revisit those things. So I do some stretching. I was a wrestler for 14 years. So I have a bad back that is good if I stay on top of it. If I maintain it, it's a daily thing. And if I do that, I'm good. But if I kind of slip out of that, I'll pay for it, right? And so it's sort of like yoga, some exercises there. So I do that. My little 6-year-old calls it the downward dog. So I do that every morning. I do push-ups, I do sit-ups, I do some stretching. And then this past year, and you followed some of this, I really had realized that I needed to get my weight under control. And so I partnered with another friend online, Doug Thompson, and we did a weekly check-in. And I lost 36 pounds. And I built another accountability partner on jogging. Her name's Cynthia, and started to jog because, I live in a beautiful place. We've got woods all around us. It costs nothing, except keeping fairly decent sneakers to get out and get even a long walk in. But for me, jogging was really an important thing. I had set some goals around that too. So those are the big things. And then I've got 3 sons. And I love to be active with them. And there goes
There's one. Good timing.
And just, I was wrestling my oldest son this morning, just those daily things, you get worn out, and it's so easy to just turn on the TV and watch stuff, or, grab your phone or whatever, but choosing to get out of that chair and play with my sons and arm wrestle my sons and build Legos with my sons and different stuff like that is just as important as those actual exercise things. And so much of that comes back to mindset, choices, taking responsibility for ourselves, and those kind of things. So that's a big part of keeping myself on the right track, is keeping my body on the right track.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. And those are
heart,
great.
mind, and soul, right?
Yeah. Those are great activities
well.
that everybody can do pretty much anywhere, it's go outside for a jog, go for a walk, or get a buddy and do some wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. 12-year-old sons are good for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, what are you really focused on right now in the business that we can support you with here at Move Happy?
Yeah. So, on the business side of things, it's sort of a push to keep a work-life balance. And I know that's a different thing. We've grown over 75% in the last 3 years as a business. And so the client base and the amount of meetings just exploded and ballooned, and our staffing didn't quite keep up with that. And so I realized I wasn't spending enough time at home. I wasn't seeing my boys enough. I wasn't seeing my wife enough. I wasn't spending much time on myself. And so really a push to take care of those clients. We get referrals a lot. And so I hire people to the team to bring people on. And now we're working on building some efficiencies around that. So we don't want to take any steps back with what we do for clients, but we want to do it in a way that's efficient and repeatable, so that every client gets that. And we really pride ourselves on treating each client well, whether they're small, big, they've been with us a long time, or they're brand new, those kind of things. So really building out our process. The size the firm was before didn't require a lot of that. And so I'm excited to bring even more consistency to what we do, but at the same time, making sure there's still time to spend building those long-term relationships and building them with those clients. And so I'm spending a lot more time mentoring my team, because I can't do it all. We've doubled our client base, or getting close to that. So I need to bring on people, train people, invest in people that can deliver that same kind of service. And, over time, probably they'll do better than I do. And that's what I want to see happen, is those, clients who get to experience that. And my hope is that the team I have in place and that we're building will be the team who 15 years from now, when I'm ready to step back, is ready to take over the company and take it forward for the next 20 years after that. So that's really the focus on the business side, and kind of coupled with that is making sure when I'm home, with my, or out with my kids and my wife and that kind of stuff, is being fully present. So when I'm at work, I tend to be driven to get the things done and that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's easy to come home and you're still checking emails, you're still, doing social media, you're still doing all that. So I'm in the middle of a big push, it's sort of a health push in a different way, right? Yeah. To have that healthy balance in my life, so that I've still spending time with friends, my family, taking care of the things at work, my team, and also giving myself a break from time to time as well. Yeah. No more sleeping on the conference room floor.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like you're not at this time taking on clients per se. You're kind of automating your systems within house, but if there's someone that's interested in the financial sector, they can reach out to you.
We definitely still take on new clients. We're not pushing and advertising and doing sponsorships and stuff like that. But month of October, we had 18 referrals from our existing clients. Nice. A good month is 4 or 5, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So, just amazing. So that's keeping us busy. But yeah, there's sort of a emphasis on that. We're always open to that. We're not going to turn people away.
Yeah.
But we're not really kind of pushing, we're in a luxury situation where we don't have to push and continue to grow the company. Yeah. What a great Most people would kill to be in that position, right? So it's a great thing. But yeah, focusing at the same time on processes and people, so that we can continue to grow the company as well.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So if people want to connect with you, what's the best way they can do that? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's LinkedIn, but really the best way is through our website. It's truenorthfs.com. And it's TRUNORTH, F for financial and S for services. But I would really tell them, go to the inspiration page first. There's a page there about what inspires us. Again, we lead with relationship, and we lead with kind of opening ourselves up and saying, here's the kind of people we are. If that fits with who you are and what you're looking for in a financial advisor, then reach out to us, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and that page gives you a good feel for, you know, what inspires us, what we think is interesting. And it's so funny. I've had people reach out and say, I've never seen a financial services company do those kinds of things, you know, on their website. It's just there's a song on there. There's an inspirational video on there. There's, you know, some quotes on there. Yoda's on there, you know? But it gives people a feel for our character and our integrity and what we're looking for and those kinds of things. So I would go to the inspiration part of the website to get a feel for us. And then of course you can check out the services and the people and the history and all that good stuff. So truenorthfs.com, inspiration page, and let us know what you think.
Awesome. Everybody needs to do that. We'll make sure to put a link when we post this later on.
Awesome.
And then last question's always, you know, silly, fun question just to kind of help people get to know you a little bit more.
The surprise.
Yes, the surprise. So I'm just totally thinking this impromptu, just with your son running through in the back. What's some place that you guys haven't been to yet? Because I know you like to travel, where you'd like to take your kiddos and your wife.
Yeah, we actually just talked about this morning. We were all watching a show called World's Deadliest Animals.
Ooh.
And most of them it's like kills in 3 minutes, right? The venom from a snake or whatever. And my youngest son said, what if it killed you slow and you had 4 years to live? And I said, you know, let's talk about that a minute. And so we kind of went around and I said, if you knew we were only going to have 4 more years, what would we do? Mm-hmm. I said the Grand Canyon. That's a trip we plan to take here in the next couple of years. I would feel like a failure as a father if I didn't get my kids to the Grand Canyon. And we have Disney coming up later this year. And my oldest son said, I don't know, maybe Australia. And so we kind of threw out those. And at the end of that, I just said, you know what I would do if I knew I had 4 more years? I would do a lot of what we're doing right now, just spending time in our living room, being together, talking, you know, really being full. There were no phones in the room, you know, just being fully present with each other and being together and those kind of things. So, you know, I love to travel. I love to experience those things, but sometimes it's a good reminder just to remember that the day-to-day normal living, being with people you love, you know, looking them in the eye, giving them a hug, sending them a smile, you know, being with them and fully present and enjoying that. It's so easy to forget that. You're running a business, you're raising a family, you got a house to take care of, you got social media barking at you, you got all these entertainment options in front of you. Those simple family times, those simple times with being surrounded by those you love, sometimes that's the best journey and the best place to visit is just your own living room.
Love that. And that really speaks to who you are, very family focused. And I'm excited for people to go to your website. Love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Feel free to reach out and just let us know what your favorite video or favorite inspiration is on there. And that'll tell us a lot about you as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being a part of the show. Look forward to having you back for a follow-up session.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to your event this coming year. And I can't wait to hear more about it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. It's been my honor to be on here.
Oh, well, thank you.